The last thing for this module is formatting. I want to show you some ways to work with the data that's being shown on the screen that we're getting through the pipeline. So PowerShell allows us to use a number of formatted commands for display as well as the output of that data. The commonly used ones include format-list, which has an alias of FL. Then we've got format-table, which has an alias of FT. And then the last one we have is out-grid view. And this basically sends the output to a GUI display that we can work with. So let's take a look at some of the different formatting options. For that, we're going to use get-service. So the first one we're going to take a look at is format-list. So let's do a help format-list so that we can take a look at the syntax. Notice that the first thing on the list is a dash property and then an object that goes with it. So what that means is that that's the first positional parameter. So that'll allow me to actually leave out the dash property and simply put in pieces of information that I want the format list to use, what properties I want it to bring across. So if we go out and we do a get-service, and then I put that into format-list, and then I pipe that into more, we see that brings us a long listing, and we see much more detail than what we did when we ran just get-service. So we get name, display name, status, a number of pieces of information that we can view with this. So say I just want to be able to see the name and the status, but using the format list view. What I can do is I can break out of that with Control-C, get-service, do an FL to shorten that, and then I can put in name, status, being the properties that we want brought across, and then I can pipe that into more. And now we see that that just gives us the name and the status for the services as we're going through. So if we go back and we do get-service, and we pipe that into format table, you'll see that that looks exactly the way it does when we do get-service, because get-service by default is using the format table with those three specific things displayed. So some additions that I can do to format-table is I can do an auto size, which will auto size the columns to give me a good width. So we see that that increased the size of the column, so now we get the full display name for the services. We can also do a dash wrap. So what that will allow us to do is that will allow us to wrap, if we do have lines that go onto a second line, it'll wrap those for us. So we see up here the Windows encryption provider host service wrapped down to a different line. Probably would be a good idea to include that with auto size, so we use the full size of the window, but also gives us the wrapping functionality. The next option, what we can do is we can also do the same thing we did with format-list. We can do get-service. I'll use the shortcut for format-table. I can do a wrap, and then I can put in name and status. And notice that brings up for me the name of the service and the status. And notice it didn't have to be the first thing that I put in, because dash wrap doesn't have any value that goes with it, so that PowerShell knows that if there's a space after dash wrap, that it's going to be looking for a parameter. And since the property parameter is the first one in there, I simply put the property names in there, and it brought those up for me. So the next one we have is get-service, and then we're going to send that out to out-grid view. And this brings up a grid view that we can use. So basically almost like an MMC console that allows us to be able to view the output that's in here. And then you can click on the columns to actually be able to sort by the specific columns. Then you can also filter. If I put stopped in here, it filters all of the stop services. You can also add in criteria as well in here. So this gives you a way to get into a GUI format, but then also be able to slice and dice it in a way that you can't when you're using the services management console. So those are some ways that you can go through and you can format your data when you're inside PowerShell.